Were you recently discarded, or was it you that initiated the discard? Are you uneasy and anxious, waiting and wondering, when is the Hoover coming? Do all narcs and toxic people even Hoover? You're in the right place, so stay tuned. Lifers and loved ones, welcome back to another video, and thank you so much for watching. We'll jump right in, no hesitation, no time to waste. The love is real and the energy is high, right? You're anticipating whether or not you're narc or Hoover, like you're wondering, do all narcs even Hoover? I want to throw it up on the screen. This video was inspired by a comment that I got from a viewer, so shout out to you. They were wondering if and when the Hoover would come at all right? So I figured that I'd, expand on that a little bit, so we'll get into it. I want to preface my comments by saying I'm not a psychoanalyst, I'm not a clinical professional, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm none of those things. I'm just someone who is speaking to you based on my experience, and I'm telling you what I know, not what I think, based on my experience. Keep that in mind. And thank you so much. This isn't meant to trigger anyone, hurt anyone, or harm anyone. It's meant to share information. It's meant to uplift and motivate. It's meant to inspire us to continue to heal, forgive ourselves and others, and to move forward. That's what it's about. No anger, no bitterness, and no vengeance. This is about moving on, and this is about protecting our peace and elevating at all times. There are a lot of determining factors that go into that, whether or not you will or will not be hoovered. Contrary to popular opinion, not all narcissists will hoover every time. It is very likely that they will, whether that be through flying monkey, by proxy, whether that be a reverse hoover where they're looking to engineer a situation where they're causing you to reach out to them to avoid the narcissistic injury. All right. Rejection is not something that narcs and toxic people deal with well. So sometimes they'll try to set up a situation that causes you to have to reach out to them. And that's something that I find to be even more common than just the hoover itself, because it absolves them of the possibility of, like I said, of being rejected by you and you kind of being able to one-up them. They aren't willing to take that chance most of the time. So we'll get into it though. I want to say that, yes, most narcs hoover, but that doesn't mean that they always will. Sometimes whether or not they hoover is going to be determined by you. That's right. There may have been something in your energy, something about how you came across. There might have been certain clues or information that that narcissist or toxic person got that prevents them wanting to attempt to hoover with you. Again, keep in mind, above all else, some of the main fears that narcissists have is A, being exposed and found out, and B, being rejected. All right? Being rejected by anyone. They're so emotionally stunted, have such a toxic and inflated sense of self that they cannot handle being rejected. And with narcissistic injury will come narcissistic rage. So keep that in mind. You'll always want to be mindful of that, because at the end of the day, we never know to what lengths and how far a toxic person or a narcissist is willing to go when their ego is bruised. All right? And when they feel rejected. That's, if you could imagine, if it was ever possible, that's when a narcissist or toxic person is even at their lowest, like even in their lower self. That's when, they're at rock bottom, is when they're experiencing rejection. I don't know if you ever noticed, if there was ever a time that either you were ignoring them or you look back or someone else, it could have been another one of their back burner auxiliary, extracurricular like supplies. If someone else, a family member, anyone, was ever ignoring that narcissist, it was driving them crazy. It might have been a day where it was a beautiful day as far as you could see, but the narc was toxic and just grumpy and in a bad mood, and you didn't understand why. It's possible that they were being ignored by someone else. Had nothing to do with you. They were being ignored. Again, rejection is not something that they handle well. If you initiated the discard in your toxic connection or relationship, you may not get that hoover. It's like I said, there's no specific science about it. No narcissist or toxic person is created equal, and neither are you. You know what I mean? And neither am I. But there is no guarantee. But really what I want to talk about and focus on more, which I think should be more of the discussion and more of the focus, is why that even matters. Like, why is that something that you're anticipating or you're waiting for? I want to say within this video that if you're anticipating a Hoover, if that's something that matters to you, if that's something that you're looking for, then it's a possibility that you still have a bit more healing to do. You know, you're on that healing journey. Once I came to a point where I felt healed and I felt whole, and even though, you know, we're still on the journey and we get better and better every day, you know what I mean? The better I got, the less I even thought about the narcissist. The better I got, the better off I was, the less I even thought about the narcissist, the less I even cared about a Hoover. I didn't care about it. I didn't want it. But I realized, you know, when your energy is really low, you have so many unanswered questions, it makes you wonder, you know, you find yourself wondering. You want closure, but closure comes from within. Closure comes from within, and it comes from up above. It doesn't come from a toxic or narcissistic person. They're never going to tell you the whole truth. You're never going to get the real from them. They're only going to use that as an opportunity to continue to play games with you. Any interaction that you ever have with a narc or toxic person, understand it's only for their good. It's only for their benefit. They're only ever going to play with you, toy with you, manipulate you, look to control you. The idea is that you'll always be there no matter what. No matter what they put you through, no matter what they say, no matter how they treat you, no matter what they do, is only to keep you around so they can keep siphoning that supply from you and they can keep using you. It's not about love. It's like you're playing a sport and you're both on the field, but you're playing two different games. They're golfing and you're throwing a football. It doesn't work. Your objectives are not the same. Your goal is not the same. And what you were looking to accomplish within that connection is not the same. And it's not supposed to make sense. That's another thing I want to point out. Like as you're on your healer journey, it's not supposed to make sense to you because it doesn't make sense. It's difficult, I know, you know, but you definitely have what it takes to make it. You definitely have what it takes to make it. All right. And you'll get through it and it'll make you better as long as you allow it to. Accept responsibility for the part that you had to play within that so that you don't set that pattern and find yourself in another toxic connection. But, you know, it's really about you at the end of the day. It's not about them. So once you continue to heal, you're focused on yourself, you're growing, you know, you're finding new passions, you're finding things that make you feel happy. You've, you know, surrounded yourself with energy and people that actually are for your good and that care for you and will hold you accountable. You'll begin to grow and you'll begin to feel more like yourself. You know, you'll get that glow back. You'll be feeling that self-love. And then you'll be more understanding of how you found yourself in that situation. And it's like you won't ever want to live life any other way, you know, once you heal. And now you're armed with all this newfound knowledge and these boundaries that you set forth. Like you're armed with these boundaries and that protection and that security within yourself. You know, you're connected to your own voice. You're ready to put yourself first again. You know what's right or wrong. You know what's for you. And it seems like, you know, based on my experience, as you heal, the more you glow, that's when the Hoovers do come. You know, but you should never anticipate the Hoover. And if you have been, I'm not telling you that you're wrong. It's natural. It's a part of the healing process. But anticipating or wanting a Hoover and looking for kind of like that confirmation or validation because you're wondering if it was ever real, that just speaks to where you are in your healing journey. It's revealing and it's telling and it shows where you are. And that's okay because you're not wrong. You're definitely worthy and you're valid in your feelings. And it's supposed to be confusing. It's by design. That's how it's supposed to feel to you. Oh, but they're not confused. And once the discard happens, whether you initiated it, and especially if they initiated it, they're off with that other supply, back burner, looking for another main source of supply. That's what their focus is. They're not focused on you at all. They're not concerned with you at all. They're not wondering what's going on in your life. They're not wondering if you're okay. They may use, you know, words like that in an attempt to hoover you, but they're not concerned with you whatsoever. They're very shallow and out of sight, out of mind. Very out of sight, out of mind. If you're not right there in there, for like they don't care. Again, they treat us like they own us and it's like we're appliances. You don't think about appliances when you're not using them. That's just what it is. You're always supposed to be there and you belong to them. In their mind, you're theirs. That's how they look at us. That's what it is. Inanimate object with no, you know, original thought, personality, plans, ambitions, goals, feelings, morals, none of that. Supply. And that's also another determining factor of whether you'll be hoovered. Were you the main source of supply? You know, sometimes within the toxic or narcissistic community, you'll hear terminology like grade A supply. And I understand what people mean when they say that. But for me personally, I choose to look at it more like, how tolerant were you? You know, how long were they able to remain in that toxic situation with you? Like, how much supply were they able to get from you? How much energy were they able to get from you? What is it that you gave them that made their life more convenient? What resources came with being in a connection with you? How was being with you making life easier for them? That's going to determine the type of supply you are. And again, we're all different, and we all, you know, have our own voices and our own contributions and our own like quirky things that come along with being who we are. So you'll take inventory on that and you'll be able to make that determination for yourself. But I think that's what determines what's quote unquote grade A supply, is really how tolerant you are and what you were able to put up with, and how they were able to kind of slither around and maneuver within their connection with you. You know, maybe you were actually like cohabitating with them. So them being in connection with you meant more because you were helping with the overhead. You know what I mean? You might have been in there taking care of business, paying bills, being responsible, you know, creating a beautiful home for them to live in. All right. So the type of supply you were, the resources that you have, how you made them look better by being with them, how you made life easier, that may determine whether you're hoovered. Because a lot of times, depending on how the discard happened, when they move on and they think they found a new sense of supply, that new supply don't work out how they expected. It don't go how you may think. And they don't anticipate that. Narcissists don't have vision. Like, they make choices and they deal with us based on past experience. But see, that's where you were different. That's how I was different. They were making decisions based on what happened with that previous supply, but that don't work for us. What that other person tolerated, we ain't about that. It's not working over here. It wasn't the same. You know what I mean? So that's what they don't anticipate. They don't have that type of awareness to recognize that the things that they did in their previous connection isn't going to work here now. It's not going to work. You know, our boundaries were going to be set up different. Our energy, you know, our essence, you know, who we are. Eventually, like once we came alive, like once we were more awakened to the situation, the things that they were able to, you know, get over on the other supply about wasn't going to work here. They don't necessarily anticipate that with us. Were you a person who was a lot less likely to call first? Were you less likely to apologize first? Are you the type of person who, you know, kind of just likes to squash things and move forward? You know, these are factors. These are things that they take into consideration. But I realize, you know, based on my experience, sometimes like once the discards happen, regardless of who initiated, we think that they're off like living this great life when we break up with them, like, or when they break up with us, or when it ends. See, based on my personal experience, when it ends, regardless of how it ended and who initiated it, in our minds, we think the worst, right? We think like we're here left, pick up the pieces and heal ourselves and figure out what went wrong and how we can fortify ourselves and build ourselves back up, so that we don't find ourselves in that situation again. And we're imagining them like being off, you know, living this great life, you know, watching sunrises and watching sunsets with the new supply. We imagine that they found someone that was probably better and that they like more and that they were going to change, and that, you know, we were the problem, that they were going to go off and live this great life with someone else. Wrong. They were going to do better by somebody. Wrong. They were going to grow and take responsibility and become better people for the new supply. Wrong. The new supply is a placeholder and they serve a purpose. They're probably with this person because this person has no idea who they are. You know, they're with this person because this person is unassuming, like, and they have no idea what they're dealing with. This new supply, if it is actually a new supply, they don't know what they're dealing with. That's a possibility too. Keep that in mind. Like, they're not just with this person because this person is better. There is no better than you. It ain't about better. They're with this person because this person doesn't know what's going on for real. That's why. And they're having fun. They're able to have that, you know, that honeymoon phase, that love bomb phase. You know the stages and phases. Love bomb, evaluation, and discard. They're in that love bomb phase. This is where, Like I said, the new supply, depending on the nature of that, they don't know what's going on. They just there. They're thinking that while this narcissist is performing and laying it on thick and pretending that this is who they really got, they think they won something. Wrong, but you know better. So if you are a strong individual, if you're a confident individual, if you got a strong network and a support system, they may not decide to hoover you because they just can't risk that rejection. They just don't want to risk being hurt in that way. It's going to bring them down even lower. But by you healing and by you understanding that whether they hoover or not is not of your concern and you're ready to move on, and then you even come to a place where you hope they don't. If you ever see him again, it'll be too soon. That's the mindset. If I ever see this person again, it'll be too soon for me. That's an indication. That's a green flag. That's where you want to be in your healing. That's when things start to feel good again. That's when you start to feel yourself. That's when you know that you're over it and you're done with the toxicity. You're done with the lies. You're done with the games. But when it doesn't work out with that new supply, because they lack vision and they don't know what's going on, and they thought that they were going to be able to make them the main sense of supply, but then they start to see, this ain't gonna work out. That may cause them to hoover. Because while you thought they were living this great life, they're seeing what's going on. And because you're healing on this side, it's creating bad energy with this toxic and narcissistic person in the new supply. You got them arguing. You got them going back and forth behind closed doors. They arguing, they bickering, they fighting, they picking each other apart. Because it's not going the way that the narc planned. You cut off your energy supply from them. And because you cut that energy supply off from them, they got to send that negativity to somebody. But we're not concerned with that. We let them deal with that. But that's another thing that comes with your healing. You know? You cause strife between their connection with themselves and the other supply if they're not getting like that strong, that charge, that abundant sense of supply that they got from being with you. If they don't find a way to replace that, they narking out. They're narking out. It's not good. You know what I mean? And luckily, we're not around to see it. That doesn't have anything to do with us. We're focusing on us. We're focusing on us now. We're moving on. And we're doing great things. Another thing that I want to mention in this, as far as hoovers and things like that, social media. Again, naturally, when you're in the process of healing, you want answers. You want closure. We tend to want that. Sometimes we make the mistake of going on their social media, looking for answers. Don't do that. They're performing. Anything that you see on there is not going to be for your good. Trust me. Nothing you see is going to help you. It's only going to hurt you. It's a green flag when you can move forward and you're not concerned with what's going on their social media. They're hoping that you come. They're hoping that you log in. They're hoping that you tap. They're hoping that you see. They want you to see it. They want you to see it. They're posting and commenting and taking advantage of those photo opportunities. Like, they're doing that in hopes that you'll see it. They're performing, and they're performing for you. They're pretending for you. They're posting for you. It's not even about this other supply. This other supply isn't the wiser. They don't know what's going on. They don't know who and what it is that they're dealing with, but you know. And they're posting in hopes that you'll see it. So do yourself a favor. Sit yourself down and have that self-talk. No social media. No contact means no social media. No contact not only means you not talking to them, but it's them not talking to you. It's them not emailing you. It's you not following them on social media. None of that. You're not speaking through a third party unless you're parallel parenting or something like that and you don't have a choice. But other than that, there's no reason for you to be on their social media. It's not going to help you. There's nothing on there that's going to answer your questions, soothe you, make you feel better, or help you to move on. It's only going to hurt you if you see it. If you're human, it's only going to hurt you if you see it. Open your hands and let go. All right. And again, it's a green flag when you don't even care. And that's really the place where you want to be, where you're not even concerned with what they're doing because you know you're leaving that toxic situation was the best thing for you. It was the best thing for you. I want to talk about the reverse hoover, and that'll kind of bring this all full circle. All right. As we've established, not all narcissists will necessarily hoover. You know, sometimes narcissists will hoover 6 years down the line. It depends. It varies. But what we really want to do is come to a place where we're not concerned if they are, and where we're not sitting around and we're not anxious and we're not anticipating it. We're not looking for the confirmation or that watered down validation that will come with a hoover. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to answer your questions. They're not going to change. You're the same person. It's all a game. It's all lies. All right. You're much better off moving forward and, you know, kind of just closing that chapter. Okay. The reverse hoover, though. The reverse hoover. This puts a toxic or a narcissistic person in a position to inquire about you, but be able to step back from it in case it doesn't go the way that they planned it to. The reverse hoover. This puts the toxic person or the narcissist in a position where they don't have to be accountable at all. It's like, examples, they have mail coming to your home. Like, let's say you had to relocate, or, you know, you had a post office box, or you stayed in the home and they left. They have mail coming to your home, so that you will want to reach out to them to say, hey, you got your mail coming here. Like, what are we going to do about this? I asked you to get a change of address. Like, why is your mail still coming here? They'll hoover you by proxy. Another form, again, for reverse hoover, they'll have flying monkeys or people that they know, acquaintances, associates that you have in common. They'll have them reach out to you. Hey, you know, hey, just calling and check on you to see what's going on. Hey, how's everything going? You know, hey, yeah, well, just, yeah, so it's good to hear that you're doing well. I'm glad you're healing. You know, so-and-so isn't doing well. Yeah, they're not doing well. They were abducted by aliens. Yeah, their dog ate their homework. Yeah, they lost their keys and couldn't, yeah, it's all, like, whatever excuse they can find, they'll hoover you by proxy. You know, they'll have an associate, an acquaintance, someone that you both know in common, reach out to you. Hey, so-and-so isn't doing so well. I'm glad you're healing, though. I'm glad you're doing well on your healing journey. But yeah, such and such, they're not holding up too good. Maybe you should reach out to them. You know, maybe you should text them. Maybe you should say, hey, listen, anyone who values you, respects you, and appreciates you should respect your boundaries. And I'm of the mindset, any associates or acquaintances that you had in common, cut them off. Until further notice, cut them off for your healing. The truth will eventually reveal itself. Cut them off. For your healing. No contact means no contact. And unless these are significant connections of longevity and they're meaningful to you, if they're just associates, acquaintances, I would say, at least for the time being, while you're in your healing and while you're kind of vulnerable and getting yourself together, cut them off. Family members. They'll have their family members reach out to you. You know, they'll have their aunt, they'll have their brother, they'll have their sister, they'll have their mom reach out to you by proxy. Hey, you know, they're not doing very well at all. You know, they're sick. You know, they've been under the weather. You know, maybe you should reach out to them. Things like that. That's all toxic. Set the standards, set boundaries. If for whatever reason you do choose to maintain relationships with people that you know in common, let them know, check this out. Respect my mind, respect my energy, respect my boundaries. Do not report to me about them, and do not report to them about me. If you value me at all, you value our connection, you want to be in my life and you want me in yours, respect what I say. Respect what I say. I'm going to respect your boundaries and you respect mine. Do not report to them about me, and vice versa. That's the standard. And anybody who truly cares for you, they'll be able to respect that, and they'll understand, you know. For the most part, a mature, level-headed adult won't want to participate. They won't want to get in the middle, you know. They won't want to take part in that. So be on the lookout for that as well. Reverse hoovers, where they're sending flying monkeys, they're sending their families, they're sending acquaintances, they're sending people that you know to try to hoover you back into the relationship. Keep your guards up. Maintain your boundaries. Reverse hoovers puts the narc in the position that I have to take accountability if it doesn't go their way. You know, if you don't give into the hoover, they can say, oh, I didn't know what you were talking about. Like, I didn't try to make contact with you. I didn't send them to come talk to you. I don't know what you're talking like. That's the energy behind it, you know. They may email you. They'll be calling you from spammed and blocked numbers sometimes, you know, just to see if you'll pick up. That way, if you don't answer, it's like, oh, well, maybe they didn't know it was me. they're not going to call from their own phone because either one, hopefully you already got them blocked, or they don't want their name to come up across your phone. They want it to come from somebody else's phone. They'll call you from somebody else's phone. They'll text you from some random phone number that you don't know to see if you'll answer. But again, you got to keep in mind, the Hoover is going to depend on the likelihood that they'll be rejected. If you ever gave them any type of energy that made them feel like that you would reject their Hoover, if they're not extremely confident in their ability to get back, they may not Hoover. But whether they Hoover or not, it doesn't matter. It's not important. We're healing beyond that. We're not concerned with that. And like I said, once we get to a place where we want to be, we don't want the Hoover. We don't want anything to do with them. We know it's toxic. We know it's not for our good. We know it's manipulation. We know it's lies. We know it's not the truth. We know they don't mean us any good. We know they don't love us for real. They love what they got from us. They love the supply they got from us. They love the resources that they got from you. They love what you did. They love how you made them look. That's what they loved. But they didn't love you. So I hope this brought you some clarity and answered some of your questions when it comes to the Hoover. You know, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. You know, you will experience more than one discard within a connection sometimes. Maybe the first few discards they actually did Hoover. But then this last time that there was a discard, the Hoover never came. And maybe they have a new supply. Maybe they're worried that you're not going to come back this time and they don't want to risk, you know, the rejection from you. They don't want to risk that narcissistic injury, you know. Maybe they're going through something. And sometimes they won't Hoover if they're doing bad, you know. If after the relationship ended, after the toxic narcissistic connection ended with you and you moved on, if they got any type of insight through your social media, or if they got word that you were doing well and they're doing bad, they're not going to Hoover you if they're in a bad way. They're not looking well. Their money is low. You know, their living situation isn't what it once was. They're not taking care of themselves. They may have fallen off. So that's another reason why you may not ever see that Hoover. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop it down in the comment section. Let me know. Send me an email to askbizlifestyle@gmail.com. That is askbizlifestyle@gmail.com. I'll throw my Instagram up on the screen, all lowercase letters, worthy1212, worthy XIIXII on Instagram. And I'm here. Feel free to follow me there, man. Come see me. I want to see your pictures. Come see my pictures. I want to see those reels. Let's laugh together. Let's heal together. We're on a journey and we're building community. It's not just about me. It's about you. And it's not just about you. It's about me. All right? Check the About page. You get all the links to my socials, the links to my Cash App, to PayPal. You want to make a donation to the channel, it'll always be appreciated. Check the description. You know, I pay homage to other creators that helped me out as I was on my journey, so I want to share that with you. So check the description box for more information there as well. And I appreciate you. This is healing for me and soothing for me, and it does a lot for me. Drop those comments down in the comment section for me. Share of yourself. Share your experience. Let's talk about it. It's a way for us to engage with each other, and it pushes the content out. It helps the channel. Tap that like, you know, it gives us visibility for people who are looking for this content and they want it and they need it, and it helps out a lot, and it helps the growth of the channel. And I appreciate you all so much. You drop that love down in the comment section, you know I'm gonna give it back to you, because that's what we're about. And it's truly been a pleasure. It's truly been a pleasure as always. All right, I believe in you, so you be sure to do the same thing. I appreciate you for spending time with me. Until next time, we out. you.